My cheating wife slapped me when I complained about her cheating habit. She said I was good for nothing and couldn't do anything to her. I calmly walked away and made sure she regretted every bit of her actions, and what I did really took her family by surprise. Hello. Thank you for your continuous support. This means a lot to us. If you enjoy the stories we share, kindly subscribe to this channel and comment on which city you are watching from. We might just give you a shout out in our next story. Today, our special shout out goes to Anna Scott from Virginia. We are glad you enjoy our stories. Now let's dive into the details of today's story. My name's Daniel, and I guess you could say I'm the guy who never saw it coming until I did. 8 years with Laura, and I spent most of them believing in us, in the life we built. The house with the creaky porch step, the Sunday mornings with coffee, and her humming off-key to some old pop song, it was ours. Or so I thought. But suspicion's a funny thing. It creeps in slow, like damp rot in the walls, until one day you're staring at the cracks and wondering how long they've been there. For months, I've been piecing it together. The way she'd tilt her phone just out of sight when a text buzzed in late at night. The excuses, girls' nights that stretched past midnight, her perfume sharper than usual when she stumbled through the door. And then there was Mark, the gym trainer with the 2 white teeth and the handshake that lingered a beat too long at last year's barbecue. I'd catch his name in her laugh, see it flicker across her face when she thought I wasn't looking. I told myself I was paranoid. I told myself a lot of things. But that night, February 24th, 2025, the air thick with winter chill, I couldn't lie to myself anymore. The living room was dim, just the flicker of the TV casting shadows across the hardwood. Some mindless crime show droned on, the kind where the cheated husband always ends up a fool. Laura was sprawled on the couch, legs kicked up, scrolling her phone with that little smirk she'd started wearing like armor. I stood in the doorway, my throat tight, hands shoved deep in my pockets to keep them from shaking. "Laura," I said, my voice low, testing the waters. She didn't look up, just kept tapping away, her nails clicking against the screen. "We need to talk." "About what?" Her tone was lazy, like I was a kid interrupting her game. She still didn't look at me. That's when I felt it. The first spark, hot and sharp, in my chest. "About you. About Mark." The words came out jagged, heavier than I'd meant. Her fingers froze mid-scroll, and for a second, the room was dead silent, just the hum of the heater kicking on. Then she laughed, a short, sharp bark that hit me like a slap before her hand ever did. "Mark?" she said, finally swinging her legs off the couch to face me. Her hazel eyes glinted, hard and bright. "You're delusional, Dan. What's next? You gonna accuse me of stealing your socks too?" "Don't," I said, stepping closer. My voice cracked, betraying me. "I've seen the texts. I've heard you whispering his name when you think I'm asleep. I'm not stupid." She stood then, all 5'6" of her, coiled like a spring. The smirk was gone, replaced by something colder, something I didn't recognize. "Oh, you're not stupid?" she hissed, closing the gap between us. Could have fooled me. 8 years, and you're still the same pathetic nobody I dragged out of that dead-end job. You think I'd waste my time with someone like you if I didn't have to? Her words landed like punches, each one sinking deeper. I opened my mouth to argue, to tell her I'd been the one paying the bills, keeping the lights on while she flitted through life like it owed her something. But before I could, her hand cracked across my face. The slap was loud, louder than the TV, louder than the blood roaring in my ears. My cheek burned, a white-hot sting that spread like wildfire. I stumbled back, more from shock than force, my hand flying to my face. She'd hit me. Laura, my wife, the woman I'd vowed to love through sickness and health, had hit me. And she wasn't done. "You're good for nothing," she spat, her voice rising, venom dripping from every syllable. "What are you gonna do about it, huh? Cry? Run to your mommy? You can't touch me, Daniel. You never could." I stood there, frozen, the air thick with her contempt. Her chest heaved, her face flushed with triumph, like she'd just won some twisted game. The TV flickered behind her, a detective muttering about betrayal, and I felt it, the weight of every lie, every late night, every smirk she'd thrown my way. It pressed down on me, heavy and suffocating, until something snapped. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet, cold break deep inside, like a wire finally giving under too much strain. I didn't yell. I didn't hit back. I just looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in months. The woman I loved was gone, if she'd ever been there at all. In her place was a stranger, daring me to prove her wrong. Okay, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. It surprised her. I saw it in the flicker of her eyes, the way her smirk faltered for half a heartbeat. Then I turned and walked away. Not fast, not angry. Just steady, my boots thudding soft against the hardwood. I grabbed my coat from the hook by the door, the leather cold against my fingers, and stepped out into the night. The air hit me like a blade, sharp and icy, cutting through the fog in my head. I didn't know where I was going, just that I couldn't stay there, couldn't let her see the tremor in my hands or the tears I was choking back. The street was quiet, sodium lights buzzing overhead, casting long shadows that stretched out like fingers trying to pull me back. I kept walking, the slap still burning on my cheek, her words looping in my skull. You can't touch me. She was wrong. I didn't know how yet, didn't have a plan, but I felt it, certainty, cold and solid, settling into my bones. I'd had enough. Enough of the lies, the games, the way she'd turned our life into her playground. I wasn't the nobody she thought I was. Not anymore. I stopped under a street lamp, the light pooling around me like a spotlight. My breath fogged in the air, quick and uneven, as I pulled my phone from my pocket. The screen glowed, and there it was, a photo from 2 years back. Laura and me at the lake, her head on my shoulder, both of us grinning like the world couldn't touch us. My thumb hovered over it, the memory souring in my gut. Happier times. Lies. I pressed delete. The screen blinked, and she was gone, just like that. I stared at the empty gallery, my reflection faint in the glass, and felt the spark in my chest flare into something hotter, something alive. Laura thought I couldn't do anything. She thought she'd won. She had no idea what was coming. The night after the slap, I didn't sleep. Couldn't. The house felt like a cage, every corner humming with Laura's presence, her coconut shampoo lingering in the bathroom, her laughter still ringing in my ears. I crashed on the couch instead, the leather creaking under me, staring at the ceiling as the hours bled into dawn. My cheeks still throbbed, a dull pulse reminding me of her hand, her words, "You're good for nothing." By the time the first gray light slipped through the blinds, I'd made up my mind. She'd pushed me too far, and I wasn't going to break. I was going to build something instead. A way out. A way to make her pay. I started small. That morning, Laura breezed out the door, gym bag slung over her shoulder, a quick, "Don't wait up," tossed my way like I was her damn butler. I watched her go, her hips swaying with that smug confidence, and felt the spark from last night flare hotter. She thought I'd just sit here, stewing, licking my wounds. She didn't know I'd already started digging. First came the phone. Hers, not mine. She'd left it on the counter once, a week back, screen unlocked while she showered. I'd hesitated, then felt like a creep even thinking about it. But now? Now it was fair game. She wasn't home, but her habits were sloppy. Always had been. I knew her password, our anniversary, 0615, the one thing she couldn't be bothered to change. I didn't have her phone yet, but I'd get it. For now, I checked the obvious, her laptop. She'd synced it to her messages months ago, too lazy to turn it off. I booted it up in the spare room, the fan whirring like a conspirator as I tapped in the code. There they were. Texts to Marky God, she even gave him a nickname. Hundreds of them, stretching back 6 months. Flirty at first, then filthy. Meet me at the Hilton, 8 p.m. Wear that shirt I like. Dan's working late again, coast clear. My stomach twisted, while rising, but I swallowed it down. This wasn't about hurt anymore, it was ammunition. I scrolled, screenshots piling up on my phone, each one a brick in the wall I was building. Dates, times, places. Evidence she couldn't squirm out of. Then came the receipts. Laura never threw anything away. Her purse was a landfill of crumpled paper and lipstick-stained napkins. I found it slung over a chair, unguarded, and rifled through while the house sat quiet. A gas station stop near Mark's gym, 30 miles from home. A coffee shop tab for 2, time-stamped when she'd told me she was at yoga. And then the kicker, a hotel receipt, folded tight, tucked in a side pocket. Hilton again. 2 nights, king suite, paid with her card, the one tied to our account. My money, funding her betrayal. I held it up to the light, the cheap ink smudged, and felt my jaw tighten. She'd been careless. That was her mistake. But I needed more. Something undeniable, something that'd stick the knife in deep when the time came. That's when Tommy called. Tommy's an old buddy from my warehouse days. Big guy, loud laugh. The kind who'd give you his last beer without blinking. He'd been at the barbecue where Mark first showed up, had seen the way Laura leaned into him, giggling over some dumb joke. I hadn't asked him to play detective, but Tommy's got a nose for trouble. Dan, man, you okay? His voice crackled through the phone, rough with concern. I'd dodged his texts since last night, but he wasn't one to let it slide. I'm fine, I lied, pacing the kitchen, the tile cold under my socks. Just dealing with some stuff? Yeah, I bet. He paused, and I could hear him shifting, like he was weighing what to say. Listen, I saw something a couple weeks back. Didn't want to bug you till I was sure, but damn, man. It's bad. My pulse kicked up, a drumbeat in my chest. What did you see? Laura. With that meathead, Mark. Down at Riley's bar, back corner booth. They weren't exactly subtle. Kissing, hands all over. I got video, Dan. Shaky, but it's them. You want it? I stopped pacing, the air going still. Video. Proof in motion, not just words on a screen or paper I could have faked. Send it, I said, my voice steady despite the storm brewing inside. Now. It hit my inbox 5 minutes later. I sat at the kitchen table, the wood scarred from years of us, and pressed play. The screen lit up, grainy but clear enough. There she was, Laura, her dark hair spilling over her shoulders, laughing as she leaned into Mark. His arms snaked around her waist, pulling her close, and then they kissed, slow, sloppy, like they didn't care who saw. The bar noise buzzed in the background, glasses clinking, but all I heard was my own breathing, ragged and sharp. My hands shook, the phone rattling against the table, but I didn't stop it. I watched it twice, then 3 times, memorizing every frame. Her smirk, his smug grin, the way she melted into him like I'd never existed. I could have smashed the phone right there. Could have roared, punched a wall, let the rage spill out. But I didn't. I sat back, exhaling slow, and let the tremble in my hands settle into something else, steel. This was it. The key. The thing that'd bury her when I was ready. I saved it, backed it up to my cloud, and deleted Tommy's email. No traces. Not yet. Laura came home an hour later, oblivious as ever. She kicked off her sneakers, hair damp with sweat, or maybe something else, and shot me a glance. You're still here, she said, half laughing, like I was a stray dog she couldn't shake. I nodded, silent, watching her saunter to the fridge. She didn't notice the way my eyes tracked her, didn't feel the shift in the air. She grabbed a water bottle and flounced upstairs, humming some tune I didn't recognize, leaving me alone with my thoughts. I spent the rest of the day planning. Quietly, methodically. I sorted the screenshots, time-stamped them, built a timeline in my head. The receipts went into a locked drawer in my desk, the one she never bothered with. The video stayed on my phone, a loaded gun I'd fire when the moment was right. I didn't know when or how yet, but I knew it'd be big. Public. Something she couldn't laugh off or slap away. By nightfall, I was a different man. Not the Daniel who'd begged her to explain last night. Not the fool who'd let her walk all over him. I was a hunter now, patient, waiting for the kill. Laura thought she'd broken me. Thought I'd crawl away and lick my wounds. She didn't see the pieces I was gathering. Didn't hear the clock ticking louder with every lie she lived. I slipped my phone into my pocket, the weight of it solid against my thigh. The house was dark, Laura asleep upstairs, her soft snores drifting down like a taunt. I stood in the doorway, staring at the empty couch where it had all gone down, and felt the words rise up, low and sure. You'll see what I can do, I muttered, my voice a promise cutting through the silence. She'd see. Soon. The days after I found that video stretched out like a tightrope, every step deliberate, every breath a gamble. I was living 2 lives now, one for Laura to see, the beaten-down husband she'd mocked into a corner, and the other, the real one, simmering under the surface, sharpening its claws. The family party was coming up fast. Saturday night, Laura's parents' sprawling house up in the hills, all glass windows and fake smiles. It was their annual thing, a big show-off bash where her dad grilled steaks and her mom flitted around with wine, pretending they were the perfect clan. Laura loved it. Loved the spotlight, the chance to play Queen Bee. This year, she'd have Mark on her arm, and I'd have my chance to burn it all down. I kept my head low that week, playing the part. Tuesday, I cooked dinner, spaghetti, her favorite, sauce simmering on the stove while she scrolled her phone at the table, barely looking up. "Smells good," she muttered, like it was a chore to say it. I nodded, stirring the pot, my back to her so she wouldn't see the way my knuckles whitened around the spoon. Wednesday, she came home late, hair mussed, that gym sweat excuse on her lips. I didn't ask, didn't flinch. Just watched her breeze past, her perfume trailing like a dare. She thought I was crumbling, thought every silent nod was me giving up. She had no clue I was loading the gun. Friday night, I heard her on the phone with Mark. The video was ready, copied to a USB, synced to my phone, every pixel locked and loaded. I tested it on my laptop 3 times already, watched Laura's lips lock with Mark's until the nausea dulled into fuel. But the party wouldn't be a laptop job. It'd be their big flat screen, mounted in the living room, the one her dad bragged about every year for K, surround sound, the works. I'd seen the remote a dozen times, knew it hooked up to Bluetooth. All I needed was a moment, a window to connect my phone and let it rip. I'd practiced the pairing at home, fumbled it twice, but I had it down now. One button, one click, and her world would unravel. Saturday morning, Laura was a whirlwind. Hair curlers, makeup scattered across the bathroom counter, a red dress laid out on the bed like a battle flag. "You're wearing that gray shirt, right?" she called out, not really asking. "Don't embarrass me." I grunted from the kitchen, pouring coffee, my hands steady as stone. "Gray shirt." "Sure." Let her think I was still her prop, her punching bag. She didn't notice me slip the USB into my pocket, didn't hear the gears turning in my head as I pictured the night ahead. We drove up to her parents' place in silence, the car humming along the winding roads, pines flashing past in the dusk. The air was crisp, tinged with wood smoke from someone's chimney, and I cracked the window to breathe it in, to clear the fog of her perfume choking the space between us. She tapped her nails on the armrest, humming again, that same damn tune from the other night. I gripped the wheel tighter, my jaw locked, and let her think I was just nervous, just the old Daniel she could steamroll. The house was already buzzing when we pulled up, cars lined the driveway, laughter spilling out onto the lawn. Laura's mom, Ellen, swept us in with a hug, her floral dress fluttering as she chirped about the food. "Daniel, you look tired? Everything okay?" Her eyes lingered on me, soft with that pity I'd grown used to. I forced a smile, shrugged. "Long week," I said, and she patted my arm, moving on to fuss over Laura's dress. Her dad, Bill, was out back, apron on, flipping burgers with a beer in hand. He clapped me on the shoulder, gruff as ever. "Good to see you, son. Grab a plate." I nodded, but his grip tightened for a second, his brow creasing like he sensed the fracture under my calm. He didn't push, though, just turned back to the grill, smoke curling up into the darkening sky. Inside, the party pulsed, cousins sprawled on couches, aunts trading gossip over wine glasses, kids darting underfoot. I drifted through it, a ghost in my own skin, nodding at hellos, sipping a beer I didn't taste. Laura was in her element, flitting from group to group, her laugh cutting through the chatter like a blade. Then Mark showed up, black shirt, just like she'd wanted, sleeves rolled up to show off those gym rat arms. He swaggered in, shaking hands, flashing that grin, and I watched Laura light up, really light up, in a way she hadn't for me in years. They didn't touch, not yet, but the air between them crackled, electric and shameless. I stayed back, leaning against the wall near the fireplace, the heat licking at my legs. Laura's sister, Jess, sidled up once, her brow furrowed. "You're quiet tonight," she said, sipping her drink, eyes flicking to Laura and Mark. "Something going on?" I shrugged again, my go-to shield. Just taking it all in. She didn't buy it. I saw it in the way her lips pursed, but she let it drop, drifting off to chase her toddler. Good. I didn't need questions, didn't need anyone tipping the scales before I was ready. The moment came later, after the burgers were gone and the crowd thickened in the living room. Laura and Mark were by the window, heads bent close, her whispering something that made him chuckle. She glanced my way, caught my eye across the room, and smirked, sharp, deliberate, like a cat toying with a mouse. She leaned closer to Mark, her lips brushing his ear, and I felt it, the last thread of doubt snapping clean. My hand slid to my pocket, fingers grazing my phone. The video was there, loaded, waiting. She had no idea. I excused myself, muttering about the bathroom, and slipped into the kitchen instead. The TV remote sat on the counter, black and sleek, its little blue light blinking. I'd seen Bill pair his phone to it last year, streaming some football highlight reel. I pulled mine out, heart thudding, and tapped the Bluetooth settings. The screen flickered, connecting, and for a second, I thought it'd fail, thought the whole plan would crash before it started. Then it clicked. Paired. I exhaled, slow and shaky, and slid the remote into my sleeve. One step closer. Back home that night, after Laura crashed upstairs, I tested it again. Our TV this time, same setup. I plugged in the USB, hit play, and watched the screen flare to life. Laura's face, Mark's hands, the bar's dim glow. Sound perfect, picture sharp. I killed it fast, heart racing, and nodded to myself in the dark. It worked. Perfectly. Tomorrow she'd fall. The party was a powder keg by 9 o'clock, and I was the match. The living room swelled with bodies. Laura's aunts perched on the sectional, cousins sprawled across the rug, her dad's old college buddies guffawing over cigars out back. The air was thick with barbecue smoke and wine-soaked laughter, the kind of night where everyone's too buzzed to notice the cracks until they split wide open. I'd been circling the edges all evening, a shadow in my gray shirt, sipping a beer that had gone warm in my hand. Laura didn't see me watching, didn't see the remote tucked up my sleeve, the phone burning a hole in my pocket. She was too busy glowing, too busy owning the room with Mark at her side. They'd gotten bolder as the night wore on. By the window earlier, it was whispers and smirks. Now, they were in the thick of it. Laura perched on the arm of a chair, her red dress catching the light. Mark looming close, his black shirt stretched tight over his chest. She'd toss her hair, laugh too loud at his jokes, and he'd lean in, brushing her arm like it was nothing. Like I wasn't there. Her family didn't blink. Why would they? She'd spun Mark as a friend from the gym, and they swallowed it whole, too charmed by her to dig deeper. I saw Jess glance their way once, her lips tightening, but she didn't say a thing. Good. I didn't need allies tonight. I needed witnesses. I waited for the right moment, patience coiling tight in my gut. It came when Bill hauled out the photo albums, some tradition Ellen loved, a slideshow of old vacations to cap the night. The TV was already on, muted, some sports recap flickering across the screen. Dan, grab the remote, will ya? Bill called from the kitchen, his voice rough with beer and burgers. Perfect. I nodded, slipping it from my sleeve like I'd just found it on the counter. My thumb grazed the power button, and I felt the weight of every step I'd taken to get here. The texts, the receipts, the video looping in my head. This was it. Got something better than photos, I said, loud enough to cut through the chatter. Heads turned. Ellen's, Jess's, a couple uncles mid-story. Laura glanced over, mid-laugh, her eyes narrowing for a split second before that smirk slid back into place. What's this, Dan? Your big moment, she teased, her voice dripping with condescension. Mark chuckled, crossing his arms, like I was some sad clown about to flop. I didn't answer, just stepped to the TV, my boots thudding soft on the hardwood, and tapped my phone awake. The Bluetooth was still paired from last night's test. One swipe, one press, and the screen flickered, black for a heartbeat, then alive. Riley's bar bloomed into view, dim and smoky, the camera shaky but steady enough. There was Laura, unmistakable, her dark hair spilling over her shoulders, her laugh cutting through the bar noise as she leaned into Mark. His hand slid to her waist, pulling her close, and then they kissed, slow, hungry, her fingers curling into his shirt like she couldn't get enough. The audio kicked in, tinny but clear, her giggle turning to a moan as he murmured something low in her ear. The room froze. A glass clinked, someone setting it down too hard. Ellen gasped, a sharp little sound that split the silence like a gunshot. Laura's laughter died mid-breath, her face whipping toward the screen, eyes wide, mouth slack. What the hell? She started, but the video kept rolling, Mark's lips on her neck now, her head tipping back. Bill stormed in from the kitchen, apron still on, his beer sloshing as he stopped dead. Laura. His voice was a growl, disbelieving, and that's when it hit, the chaos I'd been waiting for. Who did this? Laura shrieked, lunging for the TV, but Jess grabbed her arm, yanking her back. Is that real? Jess hissed, her voice trembling, her toddler clinging to her leg now, wide-eyed. Ellen was crying, hands over her mouth, muttering, oh God, like a prayer could rewind it. The aunts erupted shouts, whispers, a cousin pulling out his phone to record the wreckage. Mark backed toward the door, his cocky grin gone, replaced by a deer-in-headlights stare. This isn't, he stammered, but no one cared. The video looped, Tommy's shaky footage starting over, Laura's betrayal playing again like a sick encore. I didn't move, didn't say a word, just stood there, the remote loose in my hand, watching it all burn. Laura spun on me, her face a mask of fury and panic, mascara streaking as tears broke through. You bastard, she screamed, charging forward, but Bill caught her, his big hands clamping her shoulders. Enough, he roared, his voice shaking the room. She fought him, nails clawing at his arms, but he held firm, staring at me like he didn't know who I was anymore. Daniel. Ellen sobbed, reaching for me, but I stepped back, out of her grasp. I didn't need her pity now. Didn't need anyone's. The screen flickered again, Laura and Mark, kissing, laughing, shredding 8 years of my life and 30 seconds of grainy truth. The uncles were yelling now, someone demanding to know how long, someone else shouting at Mark to get out. He did, slipped through the door like a rat, his footsteps fading fast on the gravel outside. Coward. I dropped the remote on the coffee table, the clatter loud in the din, and turned for the door. Laura's voice chased me, shrill and breaking. You can't do this. You can't just, but I could. I did. I pushed through the crowd, past Jess's stunned stare, past Bill's trembling fists, past the cousins gaping like I'd grown horns. The night air hit me hard, cold and clean, washing away the smoke and sweat as I stepped onto the lawn. My truck was parked down the hill, keys heavy in my pocket, but I paused under the porch light, pulling out my phone one last time. The family chat was quiet, too quiet for a party night. I opened it, thumb steady as I uploaded the video. No caption, no explanation, just the raw file and 3 words. I'm done. I hit send, watched it upload, and shut the screen off. Behind me, the house erupted again, shouts, a crash, Laura's wail cutting through the walls. I didn't look back. Just walked to my truck, the gravel crunching under my boots, the weight lifting off my chest with every step. I slid into the driver's seat, the leather cold against my back, and started the engine. The rumble drowned out the chaos fading behind me, headlights slicing through the dark as I pulled onto the road. My phone buzzed once, twice, then nonstop texts pinging in, the chat blowing up. I didn't check it. Didn't need to. Laura was in there now, staring at those words, her world crumbling while mine finally stood tall. She'd see what I could do. They all would. I didn't go home after the party. Couldn't. The house wasn't mine anymore, not in the way it had been, not with her stink still clinging to the walls. I drove instead, the truck's engine growling low as I wound through the hills, headlights carving a path through the black. My phone kept buzzing, a frantic little dance on the passenger seat, texts, calls, the family chat lighting up like a firestorm. I didn't look. Didn't need to. I dropped the bomb, and now it was Laura's turn to feel the blast. Let her scramble. Let her choke on it. I pulled into a motel off the highway, some dingy place with a flickering neon sign that buzzed like a dying fly. The clerk barely glanced up as I slid cash across the counter, $50 for a night, a lumpy bed, and silence. I locked the door, sank onto the mattress, and stared at the cracked ceiling, the hum of the heater filling the void. My cheek still ached, a ghost of her slap, but it didn't hurt anymore. It fueled me. I'd played my hand, and now the game was hers to lose. Back at her parents' place, I knew the wreckage was still smoldering. I could picture it, Ellen sobbing into her wine, Bill pacing with that red-faced fury he saved for blown engines, Jess texting her husband in a corner while the kids whined. And Laura, oh, Laura. She'd be clawing at the air, screaming at shadows, trying to spin it like she always did. I'd seen her do it before, talk her way out of speeding tickets, charm her boss into extra vacation days. She was a snake, shedding skin to slip free. But not this time. This time, I nailed her to the wall with that video, and there was no wriggling out. By morning, The chat had erupted. I cracked my phone open over coffee, black, bitter, steaming in a chipped motel mug, and skimmed the fallout. Jess, how could you do this to him? Bill, you're no daughter of mine right now. Ellen, softer but cutting. We trusted you. Laura. Cousins piling on, some shocked, some smug, a few asking where I'd gone. Then her. Laura's messages, frantic, all caps. This is BS. He faked it. You don't know the whole story. No one bought it. The video was too real, too raw. She tried calling me 6 times, voicemails I didn't play. I blocked her number, sipped my coffee, and let the silence settle in. I'd been busy before the party, too. Friday, while she primped for her big night, I'd met with my lawyer, quiet guy, sharp suit, office downtown that smelled like leather and old books. Told him everything, showed him the texts, the receipts, the video. He'd nodded, lips tight, and drawn up the divorce papers fast. No false state, he'd said, but this'll help with the assets. I signed them that afternoon, left a copy with him to file, and took the original home. Slid it into an envelope, left it on the kitchen counter where she'd see it, right next to her favorite coffee mug, the one with the stupid cat face she loved. A little gift for when she stumbled back. The money was next. I'd always handled our finances. Laura couldn't be bothered with numbers, just swiped her card and let me clean up the mess. Joint accounts, sure, but my name was primary. Years of late shifts at the warehouse, then the promotion to manager, had built that nest egg. Her yoga classes, her brunches, her hotel romps, all on my dime. Friday night, after the lawyer, I'd logged in, transferred every cent to a new account she couldn't touch. Froze the cards, cut her off cold. She'd figure it out soon enough. She did. Sunday afternoon, I was at the motel, eating a greasy burger from the diner next door, when I pictured it. Laura, hungover and hollow, dragging herself home after crashing at her parents'. The house would feel too quiet, my truck gone from the drive, the air heavy with what she'd done. She'd stomp to the kitchen, probably cursing my name, and stop dead. The envelope, crisp and white, sitting there like a guillotine. She'd rip it open, I bet, her nails tearing the paper, her breath hitching as she scanned the words. Dissolution of marriage. My signature, bold and final, staring back at her. No note, no explanation. She didn't deserve one. I wasn't there, but I knew her. She'd scream, throw something, maybe that cat mug, shattering against the wall. She'd call me again, get the dead tone of a blocked line, and start to panic. Then she'd check her phone, bank app, credit cards, the works. Nothing. Declined, frozen, locked out. She'd built her life on my back, and now the ground was gone. It played out like I'd scripted it. Later that day, she tried the gas station down the road. I got the alert from the old account, a declined transaction popping up on my phone. $12.47 at pump 3, her card swiping uselessly while she stood there, fuming, probably jabbing at the screen like it'd change. I could see her, hair a mess, dress wrinkled from the night before, the clerk shrugging as she snapped at him. Try it again, she'd bark, voice shrill, but it wouldn't work. She'd stomp off, tires squealing, the first crack in her armor widening to a chasm. Her family wasn't done with her either. Just texted me that night, short, sharp, she's losing it. Won't stop yelling. Mom's a wreck. Bill had kicked her out after the party, told her to figure her own ride home. No one offered a couch, not even her cousin Tara, who'd always been her shadow. The chat kept buzzing, Laura's pleas turning to rants, then silence as they muted her one by one. She was alone now, cut off from the people she'd played for fools. I didn't answer Jess. Didn't need to. My silence was louder than anything I could have said. By Monday, her world was rubble. She'd gotten home, found the papers, felt the money vanish, and now she was grasping at straws. I stayed at the motel, plotting my next move, selling the house, moving on, but I knew she wasn't done fighting. Not yet. She'd claw, she'd scheme, she'd try to turn it back on me. Let her. I'd built this too tight for her to break. That night, she pulled into the driveway. Alone, no Mark, no savior. I wasn't there, but I could imagine it. Her slamming the car door, heels clicking up the walk, the dark house looming like a judge. She'd fumble her key, cursing, and freeze. There it was, taped to the door, yellow paper flapping in the breeze. Eviction notice. 30 days to vacate. My name on the title. Her rights gone. Her key trembled in her hand, I bet shaking as the truth sank in. She'd relied on me for everything, money, home, the life she'd trashed, and now I'd taken it all back. She'd scream my name into the night, but I wouldn't hear it. I was miles away, sipping cold coffee in a motel room, the hum of the highway drowning out her fall. I knew Laura wouldn't go down quiet. She's a fighter, always has been, scrapping her way out of messes with charm and lies, turning tears into weapons. By Tuesday, 3 days after I lit the match at the party, she was swinging back. I'd holed up at the motel, the hum of the highway my only company, letting the dust settle while I watched her squirm from a distance. My phone stayed quiet, her number blocked, her voice a ghost I didn't need to hear, but the ripples were spreading. Mutual friends, old coworkers, even her family's chatter leaked back to me through the cracks. She wasn't done. Not yet. It started with the sob story. I got wind of it from Tommy, who called me Tuesday night, his voice tight with disbelief. She's telling people you flipped out, man, he said, the diner noise clattering behind him. Says you've been controlling, jealous, that you faked that video to ruin her. Couple folks from her yoga crew are buying it. Jenny, that loudmouth with the headbands, she's all over Facebook calling you a psycho. I leaned back on the motel bed, springs creaking, and let out a slow breath. Of course she'd pull this. Paint me as the villain, her as the victim. It's what she did best. She mentioned the divorce papers? I asked, tracing a water stain on the ceiling with my eyes. No, not that I heard. Just the poor me routine. Says she's gonna lawyer up, see you for defamation or some crap. You good? Tommy's worry was real, but I could hear the edge. He knew me, knew I wasn't the type to snap without a reason. I'm good, I said, voice flat. Let her try. I hung up, stared at the phone, and felt the old spark flare again, not fear, not doubt, but something harder. She could howl all she wanted. I'd built this cage too tight for her to claw out. Wednesday, she escalated. I'd been checking the bank alerts, little pings on my new account, watching her flail against the wall I'd raised. She tried the joint card again, some boutique in town, declined at $87.32. Then a call to the bank, intercepted by my lawyer who'd already flagged her as cut off. She'd raged, I bet voice shrill, demanding answers, but they stonewalled her. Legally, it was mine. She had nothing but her name and a crumbling lie. That's when she hit the mutuals harder, spinning her tale to anyone who'd listen. I got a text from Sarah, an old friend from my warehouse days, soft-spoken but nosy. Hey, Dan, Laura's saying some wild stuff. You okay? She's telling Mark's buddies you set her up. I didn't reply. Didn't need to. Sarah'd see through it eventually. She'd always thought Laura was too slick, too loud. But others bit. Jenny's Facebook post popped up on my feed. Men like him don't deserve a woman like her. Hashtag Team Laura, and a couple likes trickled in from her clique. I scrolled past, jaw tight, and kept my focus. Noise didn't matter. Facts did. Mark bailed that day, too. Tommy saw him at Riley's, nursing a beer alone, ducking questions from the regulars. He's out, man, Tommy texted. Told some guy he didn't sign up for this drama, said Laura's too much baggage. Slipped out when her name came up. I smirked into my coffee, the motel brew bitter on my tongue. Typical. Mark was a shark, pretty teeth, no spine. He'd sniffed the blood in the water and swam off, leaving Laura to drown. Her night in a black shirt, gone when the shine wore off. Her family was the real blow, though. Wednesday night, Jess called me, first time since the party, her voice low, kids babbling in the background. She's at Mom and Dad's again, she said, exhaustion threading through her words. Showed up crying, saying you're cruel, that you've lost it. Dad's not buying it. Kicked her out once already, barely let her in this time. Mom's a mess, keeps asking why I didn't see it sooner. A pause, then quieter. I did, Dan. I always saw through her. She's selfish, always has been, taking what she wants, leaving us to clean it up. I just didn't think she'd do this to you. I leaned against the motel window, the glass cool on my forehead, and listened. Jess's voice cracked, anger and guilt tangling up. She tried to spin it to me, said you edited that video, that Mark was a mistake you blew out of proportion. I told her to cut the crap. Said I've watched her strut around like she owns us all, and I'm done. She hung up on me, screaming. I could hear it, Laura's shrill defiance, cracking under Jess's steel. Her sister, the quiet one, finally snapping the leash. "Thanks, Jess," I said, keeping it short. She didn't need my story, she'd seen enough. We hung up, and I pictured Laura at her parents', pacing the living room, Ellen's sobs in the background, Bill's silence heavier than a shout. No one was rushing to her side now. No one was buying the tears. Thursday, she hinted at the law. A mutual friend, Greg, guy I used to fish with, messaged me, hesitant. "Laura's saying she's got a lawyer, Dan. Talking emotional distress, defamation. You hear anything?" I had. My lawyer called that morning, voice calm as ever. "She's fishing," he'd said. Called my office, left a rant about justice. "No attorney yet, just bluster. Your evidence is airtight, texts, receipts, that video's timestamped and unedited. She's got no case, just noise." I thanked him, told Greg not to sweat it, and waited. Laura could threaten all she wanted. I'd seen her coming a mile off. Her allies were thinning fast. Jenny's post got pushback. Sarah commented, "You weren't there, Jen." "I know, Dan. This isn't him." Tara, Laura's cousin, unfriended her online after Jess spilled the truth in a private chat. Mark was a ghost. Her parents were icing her out. In the family chat, oh, that was the graveyard. I checked it Thursday night, sprawled on the motel bed, the glow of my phone cutting through the dark. Laura's rants were buried under silence. "He lied to you all. I'm the victim here." Then a notification. "Laura has been muted." Bill's doing. I bet. No one replied. No one cared. She tried one last friend, Kelly, the artsy one from her book club. I didn't see it, but I heard later from Tommy. Laura showed up at Kelly's door, mascara streaked, begging for a couch and a shoulder. Kelly listened, nodded, then shut her down. Sent her a text after. "You brought this on yourself, Laura. Don't call me again." That was it. Her last lifeline. Snipped. I sat in the motel, the night pressing in, and scrolled the family chat one more time. Laura's pleas blinked up at me, desperate, unanswered. She was still in there. I knew, refreshing, scrolling, watching her world shrink to a screen she couldn't touch. Blocked from responding, locked out of her own life. My phone buzzed, Kelly's text, forwarded by Tommy, and I let it sit, the weight of it sinking in. She'd fought back. She'd lost. And I was still standing. 2 weeks after the party, the dust started settling, not the kind you sweep away, but the kind that sticks to your boots, reminding you where you've been. I'd been at the motel too long, the walls closing in with their peeling paint and stale cigarette ghosts, so I made my move. The divorce was already rolling. My lawyer filed the papers Monday after the reckoning, and Laura didn't contest it. Couldn't, really. She'd screamed about lawyers, about fighting me tooth and nail, but when push came to shove, she had nothing, no money, no proof, no one to back her play. By Friday, the judge stamped it final. 8 years, gone in a signature. I didn't feel free yet, not fully, just lighter, like I'd shrugged off a coat I'd forgotten was too heavy. The house was next. I'd owned it before her, bought it with my first big paycheck from the warehouse, back when I was still naive enough to think hard work meant happily ever after. Laura's name was never on the deed, a detail she'd laughed off once, calling it your little man cave. Now it was my lifeline. I called a realtor the day after the divorce cleared, Marla, a brisk woman with a smoker's rasp and a no-nonsense clipboard. She toured the place Tuesday, her heels clicking on the hardwood Laura used to dance across barefoot. "Good bones," Marla said, peering out the kitchen window where I'd found the receipts. "Few updates, it'll sell fast." I nodded, hands in my pockets, the envelope's ghost still lingering on the counter. I didn't go back much after that. Packed what mattered: clothes, my dad's old toolbox, a couple books I'd never finished, and left the rest. Laura's stuff stayed, her dresses in the closet, her cat mug still chipped from when she'd hurled it, I'd guess. Let the new owners deal with it. Marla listed it Wednesday, and by Friday, we had an offer cash, above asking, some couple moving up from the city. Saturday morning, I met her at her office, a squat brick building downtown that smelled like coffee and ink. The papers were spread out on her desk, crisp and final, the house's story ending in black and white. I signed slow, pen scratching loud in the quiet, each loop of my name a cut through the past. Marla watched, her eyes flicking up once, maybe catching the shift in me. When I slid the last page back, a faint smile broke through, not wide, not loud, just there, tugging at the corner of my mouth. "Congrats," she said, stacking the sheets with a tap. You're free now. I nodded, stood, and walked out into the sun, the check in my pocket heavy with more than money. Free. Maybe she was right. I didn't stick around. Sunday, I loaded the truck, 2 suitcases, that toolbox, a cooler of beer. Tommy dropped off with a grin and pointed it west. New city, new start. I'd picked a place 3 hours out, a mid-sized sprawl with warehouses I could manage, streets I didn't know were on. The drive was quiet, just the hum of the engine and the wind whistling through the cracked window, pines blurring past like a goodbye. I thought about her then, not Laura, not really, but the me I'd been with her. The guy who'd swallowed her jabs, who'd built a life she'd torched without a blink. He was gone now, shed somewhere between the party and this highway, and I didn't miss him. Laura, though, she was a different story. Word trickled back through Tommy, through Jess, little scraps of her fall I didn't chase but couldn't dodge. She'd crashed with Kelly for a night after the eviction notice, but Kelly'd kicked her out fast, tired of the whining. No mark, no family, no cash. She landed with Tara next, her cousin, the one who'd unfriended her online but couldn't say no to a sob story in person. Tara's place was a cramped 1-bedroom, a far cry from the house Laura had strutted through, and she wasn't welcome long. Jess said Tara was already griping, Laura hogging the couch, eating their food, moaning about me like I'd ruined her out of spite. She's a shadow, Jess texted me once, short and sharp. Barely leaves the apartment, just scrolls her phone all day, waiting for someone to save her. No one did. I saw the contrast clear as day, felt it in my bones. While she withered, I was breathing again. The new city hit me Monday morning. Bustling streets, brick buildings with chipped charm, a river cutting through it all like a vein. I'd rented a place sight unseen, a 1-bedroom above a hardware store, small but mine. The landlord handed me the keys, a gruff guy with a handshake like iron, and I hauled my stuff up the narrow stairs, the wood creaking under my boots. The apartment smelled like dust and fresh paint, windows overlooking a street alive with horns and chatter. No ghosts here, no echoes of her laugh. Just me. I unpacked slow that first week, settling in like I was testing the ground. The toolbox went by the door, a nod to the practical. Warehouses always need fixing, and I'd scored a job starting next month, managing a crew on the east side. The suitcases emptied into a closet, shirts hung crooked but there. I didn't rush, didn't need to. The cooler stayed in the kitchen, half the beers gone by Wednesday, sipped on a second-hand couch I'd grabbed from a thrift store down the block. It was ugly, brown and sagging, but it held me, and that was enough. The pain still lingered, sure. Nights when I'd wake up, her slap ringing in my head, or days when the quiet felt too big. But it was lighter now, less a weight and more a scar, proof I'd survived. I'd catch myself in the bathroom mirror, same tired eyes, same stubble, but something new behind them. Not joy, not yet, just possibility. I'd grown, not into some hero, but into a man who'd taken his life back. Laura'd shrunk, her world a couch in Tara's dim apartment, her days a loop of scrolling and regret. Me, I was moving, step by step, into something real. Friday night, I cracked the last box, just odds and ends, a lamp, a photo of me and Tommy from a fishing trip years back, grins wide and sunburned. I set it on the windowsill, the city lights blinking outside, and leaned against the wall, beer in hand. My phone buzzed, first time all day, a soft ping cutting through the hum of the street below. I glanced at it, expecting Tommy or Jess, but it was something else. A dating app I'd downloaded on a whim last week, half drunk and curious, before I'd even left. New match nearby, it read, a little red dot pulsing like a heartbeat. I stared at it, thumb hovering, the lamp casting a warm glow across the bare room. Not desperate, not needy, just open, maybe, to something new. I didn't swipe yet, didn't dive in. Just let it sit there, a quiet promise I could pick up when I was ready. The box sat empty at my feet, the city murmured below, and for the first time in months, I felt the air shift, lighter, cleaner, mine. 5 months later, and the city's finally starting to feel like mine. Not home, not yet, but a place I can breathe in, a rhythm I can settle into. The apartment's less bare now, the brown couch joined by a coffee table I salvaged from a curb, sanded down and stained dark to hide its scars. The lamp on the windowsill throws a warm glow at night, catching the river shimmer outside. In the toolbox by the doors got fresh dents, proof of the warehouse job I've sunk my hands into. It's quieter here, simpler, the kind of life I didn't know I needed until I had it. The past still lingers, sure, a shadow in the corner of my eye, but it doesn't own me anymore. I'm not running from it. I'm just walking forward. Mornings are my favorite now. I'm up early, before the sun's fully cracked the skyline, the air cool and sharp as I brew coffee in a cheap machine that gurgles like it's got a grudge. The warehouse shift doesn't start till 8, so I take my time, sit by the window with a mug, steam curling up, watching the street wake up. Delivery trucks rumble past, a jogger in neon streaks by, the hardware store below clatters open with a jingle. It's routine, steady, and I've learned to lean into it. No chaos, no lies, just me and the day, figuring each other out. I don't think about Laura much anymore, not on purpose, anyway. She creeps in sometimes, uninvited, when the coffee's too bitter or the warehouse goes quiet. I wonder where she landed, what she's clinging to now that the life she knew's ash. Tommy keeps me posted, though I don't ask. He's got that way of dropping crumbs without pushing. Last I heard, she's still at Tara's, though still might be generous. Tara's patience was fraying weeks ago, her texts to Jess complaining about Laura's mess, clothes strewn across the couch, dishes piled in the sink, her voice whining through thin walls about how I'd screwed her over. Tara's a soft touch, but even soft touches snap eventually. I'd bet Laura's on borrowed time. 1 foot out the door she can't afford to leave. The family chat's her prison now, Tommy says. She's stuck there, scrolling, lurking like a ghost in a house she's been locked out of. Jess muted her months back, Bill too, but Laura hasn't left. Can't, maybe. It's the last thread to the life she torched, and she clings to it, watching the posts roll by. Birthdays, baby pics, Ellen's garden updates, little slices of normal she's not part of anymore. Tommy saw a screenshot once, forwarded by a cousin who felt bad, but not bad enough to unmute her. Laura's shame lingers in the gaps, in the silence where her name used to light up the thread. She's in limbo, trapped by her own hands, and I'd feel sorry for her if I didn't know better. Me, I'm not trapped. Not anymore. The warehouse keeps me busy, forklifts to wrangle, crews to manage, the kind of work that leaves my shirt damp and my mind clear. I've made a couple buddies there. Rico, a wiry guy with a quick laugh, and Sam, older, gruff, who calls me boss, with a half smirk. We grab beers sometimes after shift, shoot pool at a dive bar down the street, the jukebox crooning old country while we trade stories. I don't tell them much about her, just enough to dodge the questions, but they don't pry. They see I'm steady, that I show up, and that's what counts. Nights are quieter, but not empty. I've been tinkering with the dating app, the one that pinged me when I unpacked that box. Didn't dive in right away, took weeks to even open it again, the little red dot taunting me from the screen. I wasn't ready then, wasn't sure I'd ever be, but the itch grew. Not for love, not yet, just for something, someone, a spark to test the waters. I swiped a few times, hesitant, thumb hovering like I was stepping off a ledge. Most didn't stick, small talk that fizzled, profiles too loud or too fake, but Friday night, one caught my eye. Her name's Claire, a teacher, 36, with a photo of her hiking some trail, wind in her hair, no makeup, just a real smile. Her bio's short, coffee addict, dog mom. Let's skip the games, and it hits me right, simple and honest in a way Laura never was. I sit there, sprawled on the couch, the city humming outside, and feel the pull. Not a rush, not a need, just a nudge, a maybe. My thumb hovers again, the screen glowing soft in the dark, and I swipe right. Hesitant, yeah, but hopeful, a crack of light I'm letting in. It's not a promise, not a plunge, just a step, and that's enough for now. Saturday morning, I'm back at the window, coffee in hand, the mug warm against my palms. The street's alive again, kids on bikes, a dog barking somewhere down the block, and I sip slow, letting the heat sink in. The app's quiet, no match yet, but I don't mind. Claire's out there, or someone is, and I've got time. I'm not the guy Laura broke anymore, not the fool who begged or the shadow who sulked. I'm me, pieced back together, stronger where the cracks healed. The pain's still there, a dull ache on bad days, but it's mine to carry, not hers to wield. I'm at peace, or damn close to it. And that's more than I'd hoped for 5 months ago. Laura's not at peace. I know that without seeing her. Tommy's last update came Thursday, a quick call over beers. She's a mess, man, he said, voice low. Tara's done. Told her to get out by next week. Laura's got no job, no plan, just sits there scrolling that chat, waiting for someone to care. They don't. I pictured her then, hunched on Tara's couch, the glow of her phone painting her face. Pale, hollow, eyes darting over messages she can't answer. The family's moved on. Jess's kid turned 3, Bill's grilling again, Ellen's roses won a ribbon, and Laura's stuck, a relic they've buried without a funeral. I finished my coffee, the last sip cool now, and set the mug on the table. The city stretches out beyond the glass, alive and indifferent, and I lean back, letting it wash over me. She's out there, whispering to herself, I'd bet, some mantra to keep the truth at bay. He couldn't do anything, she'd say, voice thin, trembling, as the chat goes silent again, her words hollow against the void. She's wrong, like she's been wrong about me all along. I did everything, tore her world down, built mine back up, and walked away clean. I'm still here, sipping coffee, open to what's next. She's still there, staring at a screen, lost in what was. And that's the end of it. Her regret, my resilience, 2 paths split for good. Well, that's my story, messy, raw, and real as it gets. I tore it all down and built something new. And if you've stuck with me this far, I'm guessing you felt a piece of it too. The sting, the fight, the quiet after. So what about you? What's your reckoning, your new beginning? Drop me a line, leave a comment, shoot us a message. Let me know what hit you hardest or where you've walked a road like mine. And if you're not done with stories that cut deep, hit that subscribe button. There's more where this came from, more lives unraveling and rising, waiting for you to hear. Thanks for listening. Let's keep this going. See you soon.